Hey, good morning. It's Fort Worth Playboy. Welcome to the Fort Worth Playboy Morning Show. And I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to cover a very tricky Chateau Artiste Maxim. Then we'll go through the timeline and see what's going on today. But again, what I always try to convey is Bunny and I, what we do to set ourselves out to be a little bit different, or at least so you can know what we're about, is when you come to our timeline, you'll find actionable, applicable tactics, things that you can do that day that will improve your game, your pickup, your relationships, and your sex life. We're under the umbrella of the red pill, which really is kind of an umbrella term that covers game, men's rights, intersexual relationships, mostly at MGTOW. All of these things kind of fall under this umbrella, but a lot of it is strategic stuff. Like there's a lot of debate about who's right, who's wrong, the battle of the sexes to a certain extent. We try to stay out of that. It's not our strength. But when you do come to our timeline or to one of our videos or podcasts, is you walk away with a strategy, a tactic, something you can apply that day in your life that will improve your relationship or your ability to attract and seduce women. And in turn, it makes the women's lives better as well. Everybody wins when you got a little bit of game. And then you can improve all the other things as well. But again, that's what we're about. That's what we try to assist and help men with. And we're going to jump right into this. We'll get right into maxim number 7. And it's probably going to cause all kinds of confusion because it usually does. So this is maxim number 7B. Couple days ago, Friday, we had maxim 7. Yesterday, we had maxim number 7A. And today 7B. And why did Royce, multiply these? Well, when he was writing Chateau Artiste, he was an alcohol distributor in Washington, D.C. And so I think he wrote a lot of these, and he wrote a lot of them off the cuff. He was just either hungover, and that's just the way it was. And he tended to do these whenever he felt like it. So there wasn't a lot of planning and preparation that went into it. It would be an off-the-cuff mention of like something that happened the day before or something that he had seen. And then he put it, and he did this for 7 years. So a lot of numbers get repeated. And if you go through all the maxims, there's about 200. You'll see some maxims get repeated, some numbers get repeated. And so that's just the reason. There's no planning on this. Like they were numbered as they came along. So maxim number 7, the greater the age difference between the older man and the younger woman, the tighter his game will need to be, barring compensatory attributes. And in a couple of these, he basically puts in parentheses money. So that is a classic, but it's not the only one. I want to convey this because guys get this. You always see guys mistake. Well, she'd be attracted to me if I was rich, if I just had more money, or I could pick up more girls, if I just flashed more cash, had a Lambo, all of that nonsense. None of that matters. Girls are fucking unemployed guys with game every day and supporting them. So game is a great equalizer at the end of the day. But when you're older, you need to have stronger game. Let's say a guy is just, and this is what we say, things that can take the place of money as a compensatory attribute. We always say adventurers, you're a musician, you're a local artist, local celebrity, anything that puts you at the front of the room will compensate for a little bit of lack of money, especially when you're older. And we're saying older, we're going to go 40 and above. Girls, you're usually dating 10 years below you. 10, 15, 20 or more. Again, the tighter your game needs to be, the less you have going for you in your normal life. And then guys, guys in their 40s will still have a mattress on the floor and they're a bartender, a bodybuilding bartender, and it hit him being exciting and older, even though he's not that well off, he's got to have extremely tight game to keep a girl interested. Guys are pretty good about attracting, when they're a little bit older and they have tight game, but keeping them around is a whole different thing. So you have to have extremely tight game to do well without the compensating factors. If you've got money, your game can be a little bit looser. And I'll show you the best example of this. Like yesterday, I saw Al Pacino is 87 and he's having a child with like a 29-year-old. These are the fine he doesn't have to have any game at all. And most famous men don't, because the fame is the game. The fame and the wealth that they walk around with, they've never really had to game women. They just pretty much said, here's my hotel room number, come on over. So again, he has so much fame and compensating attributes. He doesn't really need a lot of game to keep her interested. Some game, you got to keep, girls will come and go. But again, that's an extreme example of a 60-year difference in age. But there's so many compensating attributes and probably some game, because he is an actor, and actors usually tend to be very good at game. But it's not that necessary. The fame and the wealth and the celebrity can keep her locked in, and he's got like 10% game. Whereas if he's just a normal guy, you're going to have you're going to date 10 to 20 years older, maybe 30, or younger, I'm sorry, depending on where you're at. And you're going to have more game to attract. But it can be done, because mostly girls are looking for that confidence, and guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who understand this will have far more confidence than your average 20, 22-year-old. And one thing I always try to convey too is like a 60-year-old guy that's not insanely wealthy, but is interesting and has energy and is in good shape, can still date late 20s, early 30s with good game, not tight game, but it's all balanced. But again, and guys always go, well, who wants a 30-year-old woman? Because you guys sometimes don't really look at this, the whole big picture, but that's half his age. He's dating someone, and I always say, even at 10 years, if you're 50, a 40-year-old looks relatively younger. So you have to always, if you're looking at this stuff from like when you're 32 or 33, it doesn't really apply to you yet, but you'll want to know this going forward. For guys that are just getting divorced and you're in your 40s or 50s, don't even bother too much with girls your own age, your peer group, because they're going to be hostile to you. Go 10 years younger. And girls are surprisingly forgiving. If you're like getting back on your feet and you have some game and some personality and some charisma, they understand you're still getting back on your feet after your divorce, and they will allow for that. As Bunny knows, the sexiest man on the internet. That's very funny. But this is an important thing to understand, because it's not about the money. Guys with game beat guys with money all the time. And if you want to see a girl disappointed, you can put her around a guy that's pretty wealthy, that has no personality, no charisma. He's a one-trick pony. And they're really kind of like let down, because, you always think, well, if he can earn a lot of money, he's very successful in business. But in reality, there's no carryover. There's no, an alpha guy. It's all about the quality of the women, the number of women that he can attract, and how strong is that attraction. And, valor on the battlefield, sports accomplishments, business accomplishments, wealth, none of that really carries over when it comes to game. So a lot of game is that charisma, that's that inner charisma. again, sometimes you'll see somebody that has it all, like like a Trump, who has money and charisma and history, and he's older and all these things. You don't want to leave your sister, wife, girlfriend in a room with these guys, because they just literally glow with charisma, and they're attracted to them like a moth to a flame. So you've got to know. But the good thing is the charisma can be developed. When people talk about the three big things like fitness, game, and business, the easiest to develop, as far as like if you do A, you'll get B, is fitness. If you just stick with fitness, and 45 pounds is 45 pounds and a bar is 45 pounds, it's very straightforward, black and white. And you'll probably see results within 3 to 6 months in fitness. Then the next fastest is game. Usually kind of applying yourself and applying game in your life while you're working on your body, working on your game. You'll see that usually within 3 to 6 months, 6 months on the outside, you'll start seeing some success. The hardest being business. You can work 5, 10, 15 years in business and not see any compensation for it and no return on your investment. So those are the tricky ones. Fitness is black and white. Every person that we put under a bar gets stronger. In game, we can coach guys to improve their game a certain number of points. And we can take a guy that's not getting laid to getting laid pretty predictably, pretty quick. But with business, there's more variables. Every one of these, the more variables you throw in. With fitness, it's just you versus you. With game, it's you with women and as many as you can run. And then with business, you got all kinds of variables going on. So those are the deal. That's the deal with like what works best and fastest and get you the most return on your investment of time and money. Again, the maxim number 7, the greater the age difference between the older man and the younger woman, the tighter his game will need to be, barring compensatory attributes, money. So the less money you have, the better and tighter your game will need to be in the long run. And there's no downside to having game, because game stays with you forever. Money will come and go, and you'll lose some and win some and gain some and lose some. But with game, you kind of always had those skills as long as you're practicing. So let's see what else we got going on here. And if you have any questions, you got to go to YouTube, because I can't see it on Twitter. So if you have any questions today, you just put them in the little box, and I'll be able to see them. We can get them answered. If you're married and you just can't help but cheat, remember the universal rules. There's only 2. Never local, keep it out of town. And 2, never embarrass the wife. And with these 2 rules, even when you're caught, she'll generally let it go. But if you violate either of these rules, you will be paying out the ass for as long as you can. And that's the real deal. And I'm not a big one on like cheating, and I've been lucky to not really have to deal with it much in my life. So I'm definitely not an expert on cheating or getting cheated on. But these are universal things. These are the things that we've seen where couples, and these are what would you say, like a gentleman's agreement or a couple's agreement, where we've seen over time with stable, normal couples that stay together, is there's an understanding. He doesn't talk about it. He keeps it out of town. No coworkers, no friends of hers, no employees that are his. It's a third party out of town, and keeps it there. And it's never revealed. He doesn't talk about it with his golfing buddies. There's never any embarrassment for the wife. And that's the agreement. And those are the things that where you see these guys that kind of like go out of town for business a lot. And whether he's cheating or not, but that's the understanding, is guys are going to be tempted. Some girls are more understanding than others, but this is usually the agreement. But what can be guaranteed is if you violate these rules, you will pay. So that's a real deal. These girls don't like being embarrassed in front of their friends. They don't like you fucking the nanny. And if you do and you're caught, you have to pay with money, time, and loss. If you've ever guaranteed your girl, you've reassured her there's absolutely no way you would ever cheat on her, she's going to be short-tempered with you. She's going to snap at you, collect orbiters, get bored, and eventually probably fuck you over. There always has to be a little bit of tension, a little bit of you have options, but it's understood. How would you say you need to keep yourself attractive enough that you attract other women, but you choose to be with her? And that's really that. I mean, that's where guys always kind of get like all bent out of shape. They're like, she wants you to be able to replace her, but not replace her. That's the level of attractiveness you should maintain. And that's why, when she sees some girl eyeballing you and you're just walking along, that's good for her and you. You don't necessarily need to know, but when she sees you entertaining, somebody younger, attractive, and they're laughing and giggling, she knows you still got it. And your attention's still on her. And you see some guys that really have it dialed in, they're able to do this, and she hits that just right level of jealousy that makes him more attractive, not enough that it pushes her over and she's not feeling confident in herself. So again, you always have to look at kind of like where your wife, girlfriend is at. I mean, if she has just had a baby and she's trying to get the baby weight off and she's exhausted, this is no time for her to catch you flirting with the waitress. You kind of have to give them all eyes on her because her confidence is not that high. Does that make sense? I mean, you have to see where she's at and not make a bad situation worse. And usually that's, wherever how they feel about themselves is, how they feel about you. So that's a big deal. Let's see what else we got going on. Posture. I think one thing in game that isn't encouraged enough or conveyed strongly enough is how the very first thing that girls notice is your posture before you even say a word. And it carries so much. One thing that I would suggest, if you don't believe me, or if you'd like to see some proof or some examples, is go to YouTube and watch any infield video of a pickup artist. Again, these are the experts at in-person talking to girls, running game on girls in person. You don't have to take their lifestyle or their values or any of that. Just look at their posture. Look at how they stand and they carry themselves. 100% of them, all of them to a T, stand tall, head up, chest up, shoulders back. None of them are slouching. None of them relax. They don't slouch. They don't sit down low in their chair. They're always got a head up, chest up posture. They're not leaning in, but they're up, and they stand taller. And it's the number one thing you can do to make yourself more attractive instantaneously is pull your head back, head up, chest up, set up. And again, it makes you more attractive. Body language cheat sheet, power poses. Those are all in my book, Basic Training. Certain manners, certain ways of standing, both you appear more powerful, and because of the way you're standing, you feel more powerful. And it's been proven through research that the standing, the pose, the posture comes first, then the feeling. Because everybody goes, well, I feel like, down today, I'm slouching. But it's the exact opposite of how it works. when you stand up straight, pull your head up, head back, chest up, you start to feel better about yourself. Slower movements. Guys that are nervous and not sure what to do, move fast, talk fast. That's not good when it comes to attracting and seducing women. You want to slow things down. Slow down your cadence of your talking, slow down your movements. And the more conscious you are of this, the better you'll get at it. Eye contact, making eye contact, maintaining eye contact. Minimal smiling. I'm guilty of this. I smile a lot. I can get away with it because when you're like 6'2" and over 220 pounds, you have to kind of like be a little less intimidating because you spend most of your life being more, if you yell, it's more intimidating than if a 5'2" female that weighs 100 pounds yells. So you get different reactions. But I've always smiled more than I should. And it does help to minimize that. You're less ingratiating. Contrapposto. It is a manner of standing, and I can't do it while here, but it's a manner of standing where you weigh one leg. Think of David, Michelangelo's David, the statue. That is the description of his stance. And there's something about this stance, and researchers have used it, that is attractive to women. It tends to balance. You weigh onto one foot, you relax the other leg, you lean back a little bit, arms are out, chest is up, head is up. Again, look at Michelangelo's David, the statue, and that is this pose. And this is how you should stand most of the time. And it just seems to work. It just makes even the most average or unattractive man more attractive. Guys underestimate the power of posture because they don't think about it. They slouch around and they don't understand why girls don't want to talk to them. So no hands in the pockets. When can you put hands in your pockets? Guys go, hey, can I put them in my pockets for a picture? Yes. Because usually when you see powerful men in charge, they keep their hands out of their pockets, except for photographs. Sometimes they'll use it as a prop and to look more relaxed. But generally, keep your hands out of your pockets. You need to have your hands available. Open legs, straight back, hold your drink low. And this is a universal thing. Notice like how the actors in this photograph hold their drink low and no fidgeting. Girls fidget, girls get nervous, they start touching themselves, they start prancing, they start playing with their hair. You should do none of that. You also get away with smiling more because you're funny and laughing at your own hilarity. That's true. Self-amusement is a part of game. But in the beginning, if you're walking around with a big shit-eating grin on your face, it may not be the best for your game. But if it works for you, like I always tell people, test things out. Like if you don't believe like power poses or improving your posture, just spend a day focusing in on your posture and see how women react to you. Because the slower movement thing is something that I find interesting, because when I first got back into dating, I was nervous and I caught myself talking fast, using fast gestures, and girls would literally be like, moving back. And then I caught it and I learned that slow everything down. And what I tell guys is when you slow everything down consciously, you'll probably hit it just right. When we say slower movements, fewer words, less texting, less is more when it comes to game. When you do that, compared to the masses of men out there just texting away and losing their minds, you will hit it just right. And that's why we make these recommendations. They tend to work for most people. And again, there's no downside to improving your posture. You're like, well, why would I do that? Well, there's no downside. It is going to work. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You're going to be more attractive to women. Your clothes will look better. Your joints will stop hurting. So there's really no downside. And that's what we try to do, is give you stuff that you can apply today that will work all day long and be a benefit to you. Again, body language cheat sheet, power poses, slow down your movements, eye contact, don't look at the floor, minimal smiling, contrapposto. God, I'm sure I'm chewing that up, and I should have thought about it before. And I haven't used the word in a long time, so I forget how to pronounce it. No hands in pockets, open legs, straight back, hold your drink low. You almost always see guys that are nervous holding, and it just blocks everything low, or put it on the bar and just kind of, you can rest your hand there. Even if you're kind of like high strung nervous, always remember to hold your drink low. No fidgeting, no primping, no pulling fluff off your jacket. Focus. You want to relax no matter where you're at, like you own the place. So those are the power poses. That's the body language cheat sheet. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Tomorrow at 6:30 a.m., we'll be right back here, not 7, but 6:30 a.m. Then on Thursday, we have a 7 a.m. morning show. And 11, we have the morning hustle with me and Bunny. It's twice as good, if not more, because Bunny brings so much to the table. She brings her girl brain and interprets the red pilling game. And we encourage you to ask questions. And if you need to get a female insight into a subject, and we'll keep you anonymous, we can answer your questions live on the show during that time. It's 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We encourage you guys to come see us. And I appreciate your time. Your time is valuable. And I appreciate you spending your time with me this morning. And I hope you guys have a great day.